me how to say ladies and gentlemen in gender-neutral terms.
Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Hey, yo.
So, welcome everyone to HIAC Talk Radio. Myself and the Nerdy Enterprises are all here. This is my favorite one, the C. Big old cunty cock. Welcome to HIAC Talk Radio. Yes, Derek is coming, Ash. But I wanted to discuss this only because I wanted to see how you felt about it, or hear how you felt about this, Craig, because Ash and I were discussing this. Mm-hmm. On the first half of the stream when I was doing 2K23. Maxine was at was put into the role of trainee show me what you got at a recent house show. I believe it was I don't even remember what day it was, to be honest now. I know Ash will give me the information. But I know you've seen it. I hope you've seen it. If not, this is going to be a terrible intro. But especially you, Craig, because Ash's perspective was blame the WWE for that. And I understand her perspective 100%. Mm-hmm. It was last night. Okay. And I told Ash, and your perspective might be just longer, but you and I have been to house shows.
Yeah.
Forever, and it's not uncommon. And this is not the worst. I still want to go on record and saying this is not the worst I've seen, and I know this is not the worst Craig has seen. I know that. I can't give you names other than Hard Body Harrison, and that motherfucker got to TV.
Yeah,
and Craig is laughing because I am correct. It is a disaster every time, because every time it was 3 or 4 times on Nitro, you're like, all right, this time's gonna be different. Never mind. It's really bad. They tried. The only outright real failure, air quotes, and I'm not talking about the guy himself. I don't know him from Adam. I have not a comment on him, the man. Just as far as wrestling, one of maybe 2 stories from the power plant that didn't. Maybe not. But there, it's normal to see an air quotes enhancement talent or a trainee become enhancement talent because you've shown somebody at training, I could do this. Hey, you know what? Show up, blah, 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 and job. Give us 5 good minutes. Didn't work out too well for Maxine. However, in a rare, even in the shows in Philly, in a rare show of I don't even know where this came from. It was bad. It went beyond the booing. And we're accustomed to booing trainees. They know they're getting booed because they're at the time nobodies.
Yeah. Jeff
Hardy, Jack Foley.
Yeah.
They got booed to tears.
Yes.
All I'm saying, folks, because we're going to talk a little more about the IWC when Derek gets on, because I know you saw some of that. We'll talk about that in a second. Mm-hmm. Even Rhea Ripley came out of her character to tell people to shut the F up. And that's when I was like, oh, uh-oh.
Oh, it's gotten this far.
And it's the fans' fault. I'm saying I'm sorry, Ash. It's the fans' fault, but I'm just saying direct it at WWE. Oh, spare the person. That's exactly what I was saying. So I was reading it. I was misinterpreting what you were saying, Ash. No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Why did you put her out there in front of a house show that was well attended and not do anything when you knew when the train was coming off the rails? Because I can count, I can't keep count of how many times there's been a an audible called in the ring, or somebody's come out to draw heat, or Badass was like, hell, if it was me, I'd go out and work myself into a shoot just to shut him up.
Yeah.
It was a completely controllable situation that WWE really dropped the ball on. A rare L so far in 2024.
You know, Terry Funk in the Hell in a Cell match with Cactus Undertaker, just buying time to get choke slammed out of his shoes.
Yes, literally.
Yeah, and I mean that's a different instance because we all legitimately thought Dead McFoley was dead. So
yeah,
there was something had to be done to get the focus off the corpse. With Maxine, it was just I don't know. It was obviously everyone has a bad day and wrestlers have bad bouts, and even the best of us can have one of those days. This was just it was hard to watch, it was hard to take, and it's hard to to relive. But the bullying wasn't necessary, and nowadays if somebody sucks, I mean when Jack Foley, when Jeff Hardy, when Troy Martin, Shane Douglas were all enhancement talent and they had horrible matches or they looked like like ass, the only reason we even know those matches existed is because of YouTube. Now because of social media, and it's one of the reasons I hate social media, because every bad wrestling match or bad bump or guy gets fallen on his head or falls off a balcony in a barn in Podunk, Iowa, backyard wrestling match, everyone's going to see it.
Yeah.
That's the only if there was no cameras, we wouldn't even know this existed at all. But
I seem to recall. I'm trying to transition smoothly into the man's arrival. Let me be professional here.
What up, D-Mac?
We're gonna get it. No, you ruined it, son of a bitch. What did I say? I said I'm gonna transition smoothly. What's up, D-Mac?
Happening.
D-Mac, we're talking about Derek. We're talking about. It doesn't feel right when I say it. I am not hip enough to say it like that. I just sound like I sound Caucasian as fuck when I try to say it.
Well, it's Caucasians usually call me something like D Money, stuff like that.
And now I suddenly don't feel so bad. What's up, D Money?
D Money, older hip hop
man.
fans.
My name is Derek,
nice.
You bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, I get Craig Mack, dude.
Craig
Mack.
I had a football coach in junior high. He would call me McNabb after Donovan McNabb. So okay.
I'm so sorry.
No,
because I know how much you love Philadelphia.
I like Donovan. I don't appreciate.
McNabb was great.
I don't appreciate how you guys, how most Philly fans treat him since he left.
I was gonna say, first of all, Craig, hold that thought about McNabb, because I do want to talk about that now that you mentioned it. But talking about booing, which will fit into this beautifully, Derek, we were just talking about Maxine and the incident at the house show last night, and how, it's not uncommon for, I don't want to say jobbers, because jobbers used as a derogatory term at this point. Enhancement talent. A trainee is sent to a house show or a TV show to put over the good guy and work 5 minutes because you've shown something in training. And the fans, of course, I know you're going to be surprised, but the IWC live at an arena took it one step too far. I know you're shocked.
Yeah.
That's we were just talking about that. Your thoughts to open the show.
I feel bad because she's trying, right? She's obviously trying. And they took her off TV, and she's at house shows. Like you said, house shows are made for you to get better. You put people on house shows to get better. And I know the argument is, well, I paid, I can boo whoever I want. I'm like, yeah.
Fuck.
But when the girl's walking out and you hear some jackass go, "Boo, you suck, don't come back, you know, you're worthless." But it's like, why? Why? Why is that even needed? What's the point?
To her, well, because he has a small penis and he's fat. To her credit, when she just keeps looking forward where she's walking and just gives him the peace sign.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
That was cool. She's like, I fucking care.
Yeah.
But I pointed out before you got on the show, even Rhea Ripley came out of character
Mm-hmm.
to cool every like, hey.
Yeah.
Knock it off.
And she's been wrestling what? Maybe 6 months that we know of.
That's what Ash said in the chat. She's been wrestling. Oh, I'm sorry, she's not Becky Lynch. That's what Ash said.
Yeah.
She's been wrestling since 2022. Calm down.
And like give her a chance to get better. People they love Trish now, but do you guys remember how Trish looked when she first started?
Yeah, terrible.
When she wasn't a manager,
Yeah, bad.
not everybody takes to it like a Charlotte or a Bianca or so give her time.
And
Go
we're
ahead.
talking, and we're talking about the bad matches of future superstars. Do two words Jackie Gata mean anything?
Oh yeah.
I know one of these is kind of a half-assed example because we're not going to talk about Kevin Nash very much this week.
Mhm.
But I'm keep looking at you, Quad Boy. But I keep remembering his early days, and I'm not even talking about Oz. I remember Master Blasters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember Vinny Vegas.
Yeah, I remember Vinny Vegas. I remember well, I don't remember, but I've seen the Blade Runners.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're talking about the man having the last match ever in his career finally. I want to say finally. I mean, it's been less thrown in your face than some other guys, and I'm going to defend Sting to my dying breath anyway. But my point is, I've seen his early footage. It was probably worse than this.
Yes.
Like demonstratively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the difference is one got better and it was just as bad as a rookie as he was when he retired.
Yeah.
We always say that Warrior, like the outlier of Warrior is that Hogan Warrior match at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And my point is on that one, you got two of the top list of the not great workers wrestling each other.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's a reason.
Yeah, and also when you realize, or when you it came out, and it came out a year after their WrestleMania 6 match. I'm not going to use the word rehearse because I hate that word when it comes to wrestling, but they went over the entire match in Florida, in Tampa, move for move what they were going to do before they flew up to Toronto to do that match. So that was, and with Hogan being the veteran at this point, he was the one that talked him through all that. So yeah, the reason why one of the best or one of the most memorable WrestleMania matches between two of the worst workers of all time is memorable was because they worked on it under the tutelage, obviously, of Pat Patterson. Excuse me, but those two guys worked on their main event match. So when it came off, it looked better than it should have, given the talent in the ring.
Yeah.
Ash has a question. First of all, Craig, do you want to not do this today?
No. I mean, I know I told you I had been sick. I was out on Thursday and Friday. The only thing I was missing is my voice. Nothing hurts. I don't have a fever.
Okay.
COVID.
I just want to make sure. Very good.
Yeah, I'm on the up.
You're on the other. Yeah, you're coming up the mountain, not getting thrown down. Got it. Yes. Ash has a question. I'll go to Derek first. If it had been a male wrestler, would the reaction have been the same? Genuine question. No, because I've been there and I've seen them not do that. That's just my.
No.
Go ahead, Derek.
No, it wouldn't have been the same.
No.
We're just talking about the guy Warrior. I can name, I think, on one hand how many great matches he has, and look how people talk about him to this day, how great he was, and this and that. You know what I mean? They're like, he had great matches with Hogan, with Macho, with Rude, and a handful of guys here and there, and that's really it. You know, and
Derek,
look how
y'all can't see the hand motions I'm making Derek laugh with on camera, but it has to do with the blow job.
yeah, and
Fucking Warrior
look how,
sucks.
yeah, look how they talk about, Warrior. It's like, oh, he's great. Or, just turn on, and this is probably going to make some people upset, but turn on AEW and watch how many botches are in those matches, and they'll tell you they have the greatest wrestling in the world. Right? So,
Yeah, there's an entire Twitter feed called AEW botches, and it's filled
yeah,
AEW botches, and from the men and the women,
yeah,
because the AEW, they don't have, well, since Cody left, there's no more Nightmare Factory, so they'll stick green guys,
Yeah.
and to the WWE's credit too, I mean, NXT isn't, they stick green people on national television because there are no more territories, there are no more local um independent where you can get experience wrestling in front of a crowd.
yeah.
And once you get that and know how to work and know how to sell, how to bump, how to take bumps, how to work safely, then you get to wrestle on national TV. But now these guys spend 6 months in a power plant or 6 months in the performance center, and then they put them on national TV. You
Yeah.
spend 6 months in the performance center, you should be wrestling in independent shows in front of no cameras, getting experience, but they're gaining their experience on national television or in house shows in front of 15, 20,000 people. And that's why we get so many botches, because there is no place for a young wrestler to go to get experience first and then appear in front of a live crowd or a paying crowd. Go ahead, Dan.
Sox just came in the room and said, Warrior's always been overrated to me. I don't get it. Correct.
Yeah.
To you, to everyone, to
To
anyone who's
everybody.
alive.
To,
Yeah,
to everyone
everybody.
with a, that's the thing. To everyone with a brain, yes, you Sox, you happen to have one. I never got it either. Maybe it was because I grew up watching the other guy with makeup that had, a whole thumbful more of talent than Jim did. Fuck him. I'll dead name him Jim. No respect. But he was overrated. That's the point. He's garbage. He was garbage.
Yeah.
No, the whole point of house show that's why house shows existed after the golden age of wrestling. Because in the golden age, these shows, there were no house shows. They were just shows. They just went everywhere because TV was in its infancy, and they could put 20,000 in there on a Wednesday or 10,000 in another town on a Wednesday or in a random Thursday, and the show would be the same. As TV developed, the idea of the house show kind of morphed into this thing after, the closed circuit stuff with Vince of squash matches, where Maxine would wrestle Trish Stratus, or Little Sting would wrestle Dusty Rhodes, or with him in a tag match. It's so stupid. Dana Brooke is another example. I don't under. And you know what? At the same time, Badass brought up somebody else that just it fucking chapped my fat ass seeing this shit online. Dana Brooke is another one. I don't understand how they put, and I'm not saying she was going to win 13 women's championships or wrestle any of the guys and be a trailblazer in wrestling. She's an amazing athlete. And now she's on TNA.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't figure that out.
Yeah.
She would jump 20 feet in the air on the stage from a standing position and do a flip.
I remember that.
And
Yeah,
you couldn't get that. You couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, anything. Couldn't figure anything out for it.
Shotzi. I have seen her at countless indie shows in person and otherwise. And Sox, I'll read that in a second. Where she has been flawless. She's amazing. she is on that list of the IWC just trashing. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know what I don't know what anybody wants anymore. Well, again, we're gonna dive deep in the IWC in a second. We're gonna close this out with Craig, but I want to read these real quick. Don't understand why AEW did away with Dark.
Yeah. Well,
There you
why?
go.
Yeah. Put them on Dark.
Literally. Thank God they had Dark while Abaddon was, not that she had to prove anything to AEW fans, but she was on TV a little more. Now she's on the main shows, mostly because Dark doesn't exist anymore. That's exactly the point of Dark. You know, they would have 7 people on commentary just because it wasn't a serious show in that way. It was a live house show that you were watching. I was always like, when the idea of the WWE Network was first, bantied about, I was really hoping that the house shows was going to be, a thing you could look into. Like, and we're one camera setup, maybe 2, no commentary, just watching the matches.
Yeah.
And never came to fruition. They did a couple, the Beast of the East and all that other stuff, but it never developed. And I was really hoping it does, but that's the whole point. And now the house shows they came back after COVID, but COVID almost killed all that.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew the answer because I'd seen the IWC says about Maxine, Dana, Shotzi, yet no example of them attacking men to the point they tweet, "I know I suck, thanks." Yeah. I don't know. Sexism might be a thing.
And it's weird because they hate Charlotte because they think she only gets her accolades because of who her father is, but she's really good. So you don't like Maxine because she's not good, and Charlotte's great, and you hate her because she's only great because of who her dad is. Like, it's so weird how they do this to the women. It's weird.
You know how you piss them off?
Mm-hmm.
You tell them the truth. Charlotte was better than her father ever was. And as far as I listen, not Ric Flair, the guy who is the sex pest. Just on a wrestling basis, just to prove a point, Ric Flair probably will be the greatest heel that wrestling's ever seen. In his time, there was nobody better. Do you know how many moves he had? 7.5.
Yeah, wrestled the same match with everybody.
Maybe 8, Derek?
He wrestled the same match.
Craig, 9?
Yeah, and Derek's right. Yeah, he wrestled it, and that's what Bret.
And he did. He wrestled the same thing.
Yeah, and that's what Bret Hart had said about him, giving Flair credit for dropping the WWE Championship to him, which gave Bret his first World Championship ever. But he always thought that Flair was overrated. What made Flair great, and I'm not one of those guys that will go and say he was the greatest of all time. But what made Flair great was not Flair so much as what he did for his opponents. Mm-hmm. He sold his ass off, and he could make anyone, like his claim that he can have a great match with a broom is true because of who he was, because he made his opponents great. And even when he was wrestling against the best, like Ricky Steamboat, or the worst, like Rufus R. Jones, he brought out the best, and he got the fans into it. So much so that, he could have a 15-minute match with George South and have the fans thinking it was going to be thinking it would be an upset.
Yeah.
But that's what made Flair great. It wasn't his moveset, because again, which is limited. And some could say the same about The Rock or John Cena having only 5 moves. But it's the opponents, but it's those 5 moves, how the fans react to it. Even if you've seen the upside down flip, which he stole from Ray Stevens, and run up the ropes and come in.
Who did it better?
How many times he's caught coming off the top rope by his opponent and thrown to the mat. Like,
it's only worked one time, right?
That he actually climbed to the top rope and successfully.
The one time was Starrcade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he won the title with it. Mm-hmm. That's the one time I've seen that work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like have.
I was gonna say, like Brett's my guy, right? I'm a Brett guy,
Uh,
mainly because he could have a great match with anybody. I go back to King of the Ring '93 and look at the three matches he had. That match it was three different matches, all three different. They were all great, but he only had what? He had a Russian leg sweep, a backbreaker, an elbow drop,
yeah,
and a pile driver. That was it.
yeah.
That's all he had. And he
Hey,
took the
hey,
front turnbuckle.
heart
And
attack, eye rake,
that
goofy
couple
looking
boots.
elbow drop, fist
Yeah,
drop.
yeah.
But they would always go in sequence, and it
Hmm.
wouldn't be, and
It's
he would
true.
bring it in different types on the match. Now his throw first into the turnbuckle when he was
Yes.
heel.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was awesome. I mean, when first time I saw that, I said, "Oh my God, he's dead."
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he
Yep.
taped
And
it.
the only person who could take him like him was Owen. It's like him and Owen, the only two people I've ever seen take it
Yeah,
like
it must be a hard thing. Like I think they taught that in the dungeon.
Oh, I just
We
thought of the worst comment ever, and we're gonna skip that one.
good.
Oh,
We only got Derek for another
I
30
know.
minutes.
No, I was gonna move on after that.
Okay, time.
No, I got you, Craig. I got what you're putting down. What I'm trying to say is the IWC is stupid. Just a little sidebar, real quick. Donovan McNabb was booed the very first time he was signed. When it was announced
yes.
he was drafted by the Eagles.
Yes.
Angelo Fuckboy Cataldi, and I will call him out by name because he's a piece of shit, and he's always been a piece of shit. And he will die a piece of shit, Angelo Cataldi. Shit on that man from day one.
Hmm.
Even if he won a Super Bowl, never was going to be enough for this piece of crap. So the fact that he didn't just gave Angelo Cataldi go back to New England and shut up.
I am not absolving Angelo Cataldi of anything. I also put a lot of the blame, and I told him this when I saw him, to our then mayor Ed Rendell,
Yeah,
because
that didn't help either,
yeah,
Ed.
our mayor wanted Ricky Williams. Came right out and said, "I want Ricky Williams," even though I don't know what the hell was wrong with every Eagles fan, and I was a diehard Eagles fan too. We were coming off a 3-13 season,
Hmm.
and our running back Deuce Staley, whose birthday was yesterday, happy belated Deuce, gained 1,300 yards and was our leading receiver in catches and in yards. He led the league in being 88% of our offense. But our mayor wanted another running back. Keep in mind, the reason why our running back was 88% of our offense, because we didn't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
1999, which then was the richest quarterback draft at the time in NFL history. Tim Couch, Dante Culpepper, Achilles Smith, Cade McNown, Donovan, all came out that year, and we had the number 2 pick. So, and in a quarterback rich draft, no, but let's get another running back. We don't have anyone to hand the ball off to, but let's have Ricky Williams and Deuce Staley, so we can be 2-15 instead of 3-13. But yeah, so
Teach one of them to throw.
so when we drafted Donovan, because of that, Angelo Cataldi and the mayor, people booed him.
And I always have a soft spot for Donovan because now that Andy Reid's won the 3 Super Bowls and everybody goes, he's finally has a quarterback and and Patrick Mahomes. But I go, well, you forget Donovan for a long stretch up until you guys got T.O. He was throwing to like Freddie Mitchell and Jason Avant and Hank Basket and all these guys, and poor Corey Buckhalter and Brian Westbrook would have to catch everything out the backfield and take it over. And I'm like, he's not throwing to anybody. You spend all your money on defense and you can't score points because Donovan has nobody to throw to downfield.
Listen,
So,
we're not going to slander Freddie Mitchell.
oh, with the crazy hairdos.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I did that to his face. He came to a black listener party, and I told him,
Freddie did.
yeah, I came right to him.
You suck. Fuck you.
I
He
didn't tell
wanted to
him
be
he
a number
sucked.
one guy so bad.
I didn't tell him he sucked, but he was going around saying how Donovan threw up in the huddle in the Super Bowl. I said,
So
Freddie,
what did you do?
yeah, I didn't see you in it at all. But the point being, though, the Super Bowl is it's before the internet really took off, but it's the most photographed, videotaped sporting event or just event on live television history. There's not one picture of Donovan
I was gonna say I've yet to see him
anywhere.
throw up. Yeah, I've never seen any footage of it.
Yeah, so I don't know where that came from, but okay. But also, but anyway,
And
Good.
And those Eagles teams, it wasn't like they were losing to bums, like they were losing like to the Rams and the top defense Buccaneers. Like they weren't losing to terrible teams in
Yeah.
these championship games. So
And the thing is, we got to 4 straight NFC Championship games while Donovan was throwing to nobodies.
yeah,
And
to nobody.
even when we won the NFC Championship, T.O. was hurt, so he was still throwing to nobodies.
To nobody, yeah.
So that to me, whenever I hear about a quarterback or anyone say, "Well, he needs this, he needs that," I point to Donovan. I'll even point at a Joe Burrow who got sacked more times in one season than any quarterback in NFL history, and he went to the Super Bowl that same season.
Yep.
Good quarterbacks, great quarterbacks overcome shit. He had horrible offensive line, bad coaching, still got to a Super Bowl. Donovan, no one to throw to, and still got to 5 NFC championships. Good quarterbacks overcome shit. So I don't want to hear that he didn't have this. Hell, Patrick Mahomes lost Tyreek Hill and won 2 Super Bowls without him.
Exactly. They won 2 more championships without him.
So anyway,
nobody pays attention to this shit. Just to segue into my final topic. Well, not the final thing we're going to talk about, but the thing I wanted to talk about with Mr. McDonald. All those things that I don't like being vindicated in this way. I just want to preface this. Please prove me wrong.
Okay.
Wrestling, anytime you want to prove me wrong, I will eat my shoe on air. Figuratively, I will bow down to thee. But again, been saying it for years, and here we are again. Terrible people are allowed to thrive and not have any fucking accountability in professional wrestling. Because guess who came back last week to some schmucky shindy company? That's short for shitty indie. Patrick Clark. Do anybody remember who Patrick Clark is? Well, his name is Velveteen Dream. The guy who there is this fucking visual proof of these shitty things that he did. The WWE had an investigation. We didn't find anything, but was still fired. The same WWE that covered up the Snuka murder, killed Owen Hart, and the Vince McMahon thing. I'm sure that was on the level too. Found nothing. And Patrick Clark, Dynasty Wrestling. I didn't even remember who it is now that I was yelling at for a week. I don't remember the company. But they brought Patrick Clark back. On top of that, they didn't tell anybody he was going to be there. So they didn't let anybody have a choice. You were stuck with it. That is I want to see this most effed up part of it, but it kind of is the most effed up part of this on top of, his sexual assaulting people.
And you know who they brought out? They brought out after him to be the guest ring announcer. it was the lady who accused Vince of sexually harassing her when she worked for the company. So it was just tone deaf all around.
I don't have words for this anymore, but all those times that I've been told to love it or leave it, love it and get out. It's almost as if it's political. Love it or get out. Move on if you don't like it. And all those times I'm yelling back, you guys got to check this now or it's going to be a problem. Again. Every time you get the chance to throw it back in people's faces that, see, we're better. You fuck it up again. You got Effie calling you out. Effie is usually really even keeled, debating whether we like his wrestling style or not. I think he's fucking entertaining as hell to watch. It's not everybody's thing, but the man literally works almost every day at a different wrestling show. So what do you know? What do I know? But he's usually so high on life that he doesn't even care. But even he was getting involved. Now fuck you guys. I don't get it.
No one had ever heard of Dynasty Wrestling before Patrick Clark made his debut. And obviously it was on purpose. They didn't tell anyone because no one knew about this. And until I saw Velveteen Dream trending on Twitter. and think, oh, is he dead or is he in jail? Did he assault someone else?
Yeah.
Finally get caught. Yeah.
Yeah. But then we saw the same grainy footage it was. It's like, oh, so Dynasty, I mean, Dynasty Wrestling, whatever this is, it's them, it's trying to get clout,
Mhm.
trying to get all eyes on their wrestling organization, if you can call it that. He's not coming back. He's not gonna be a
No.
regular. We haven't
Mhm.
seen hide nor hair of Patrick Clark since then. He hasn't popped up on any other wrestling independent or wherever, and for good reason, because no one else would let him in the door.
Mhm.
So this was Dynasty Wrestling's gamble. We're going to get all eyes on our product, because everyone's going to be talking about Velveteen Dream showing up unannounced on our card, and yeah, for their 15 minutes, literally. And now, and what did that do? It did more for Dynasty to get their name out there, or to get people to look. It didn't do shit for Velveteen outside of getting him in front of crowds again, but that could be his last gasp. Did you think this was going to go anywhere, Derek?
No. And at first I was surprised to see him, but then I realized I was like, it's a shitty business. And when I realized it was a shitty business is when I'll hop on the interwebs and I'll see random big name here doing a signing with Rob Feinstein. And
No,
I go,
God.
and I go, that lets you know the type of business that it is, that if you can make money with somebody or you can create a buzz with somebody, they'll work with you. And that's what this
Here's.
is.
I know you're smiling because you think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go there in a second. He still has to be blocked because he's a pussy. Fuck you, Rob Bronson. I will kick your ass if I ever see you physically, and that's a promise and a threat. Nobody's gonna protect you. As long you better not pay anybody first, so they leave after you show. Um, uh, Patrick Clark. I'm not going to respect him by calling him his wrestling name. You call whatever you want. I'm going to call him Fuckface McGee right now. Everybody's saying, I didn't see the proof. I didn't see the proof. I know one of the guys that he was doing this to when he was underage.
Mm.
I know this. Thank God he didn't show him. But he posted the
Yeah.
what the thing that finally threw me over the edge with the Dynasty. And by the way, they've only tweeted 3 times since. And that was the 18th. We're 10 days later. It's good. That's a good idea, Dynasty. What really threw me over the edge with this this is their tweet. I'm quoting them now. Last night we did what most others wouldn't. We took a risk on a person and gave them an opportunity for a second chance to fulfill their dream, in all caps. We stand by that decision. No, you didn't, because you didn't announce he was even going to be there. You didn't tell anybody. You didn't advertise it because you're a fucking coward. Like every other wrestling promoter out there, you have 0 convictions, 0 balls, and 0 guts. You have no soul, and you're a fucking coward. Considering the fact you haven't tweeted more than 3 times since. You didn't stand by crap. Idiot.
And it sucks because, like, before all this came out, I was rooting for him because he was young. He looked like he could be
So
a
was
star,
I.
and he was so entertaining. And then all this
He was
stuff came out.
amazing.
Yeah, and then all this stuff came out, and you would hear the excuses he had for this thing, and it's just like, at some point, you can't. This is what it is. There's no more excuses. This is just who you are. This is what it is. The company tried to cover it up. And if you don't think the company's trying to cover up people, Matt Riddle did an interview today where he said he failed a test because he was doing cocaine, and the company covered up the test results and didn't report that it was for cocaine.
3 times.
Yeah, 3 times. So they're going to cover up something if they want to cover it up. And
not that Matt Riddle gets a guy, because I can't stand the guy on a basic basis. Go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
I was going to say, so then they said they were giving him a second chance. He's had a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth chance with the biggest company in the business, and they had to get rid of him. There is no more second chances after that. That's it.
But
he buried his greatest opportunity
Mhm.
because he had everything, like you said, Derek, going for him. Good-looking athlete, can actually work in the ring, could talk, charisma. The fans drew to him, whether he was a face or a heel, and the biggest stamp of approval. And this is when Vince was still in charge. Hunter liked him.
Yeah. I remember Cena doing an interview saying, I want to work with him at Mania. Everything they wanted people to think Austin Theory was, he could have been. And he squandered all of it.
all
So
he
I don't
had to
feel
do
bad for
was
the
hit
guy.
on people that were close to his age.
That's it. That's all.
That's it.
That's it. Is that so much to ask for?
It was
Like
just
adults.
well, wrestling. I don't think there's many adults in wrestling.
Yeah.
There's a lot of older people in wrestling above the age of 18. Not much, not really adults. I've been on both ends of it.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I think I've been on the other end of it more than the shit end of it. You know, decision between Monster Factory and whoops, sorry. My bad, Dan. But they were talking about accountability. When?
Yeah. When?
This brought me to my big point.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to be quiet and let you guys finish off this topic. We always want to hear both sides of the story. I agree. I'm assuming you guys would agree too.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the guy's running down the street yelling the N-word or doing the sick Heil.
Yeah.
We don't really need we don't need to see their side of the story. Pretty sure we got the angle.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? The guy that does stuff for AEW, Chris
Yeah, Chris
Van Vliet. Oh, I saw the interview.
Right.
I
I bet you did. Yeah, I bet you did. That was my point. He got his side of the story, and everybody took that and went, "Boy, but he said." What do you mean, but he said? It's right there.
Yeah.
What do you mean, but he said? And I don't have a problem with Chris. I really don't know how to pronounce his name. And this coming from a guy that nobody could say my name. I don't have a problem with him. But I do have a problem with giving him a voice and not once asking anybody who plastered that stuff out in the open for you to see what happened on their end. You didn't. You gave Velveteen Dream a voice, and all of the enablers and shitty ICW, whatever the hell they're called, members just ran with it and gave them a fighting chance. Thank you, Dynasty, and thank you, Chris Van Viv.
And then there was a point where during the interview where he goes, "Well, how did they get your nude pictures?" And his response was, "They could have got it from anywhere. It's the internet."
So you're already saying you post nude photos of yourself on the internet?
On the internet, yeah. Oh my
You
God.
could have got it from anywhere. No. There's only nude pictures of you anywhere. It's if they're public, if they're made.
Yeah.
You can't take it from your phone. Or take it from somebody else. They can't AI it or take it from the cloud. Yeah, that's not how it works.
No, apparently. No, Craig, that's how it works. Because everybody was like, well, he said he didn't. He said he could come through.
Well, that's all it takes.
I don't know. Wrestling's never get fixed, guys. It just isn't. I used to always end these segments by going, maybe next time. No, there's not.
It's a carny business. Always going to be a carny business.
It's carny business run by carnies who allow carnies to be carny. Carny asada. Craig, you were going to bring something up, I assuming. So please take it from me.
I will take it from you. Take it from me, Dan.
Take it from me, dude.
We're going to forego the wrestling historian segment. Well, actually, we're not going to forego the wrestling historian segment. We're going to talk about wrestling history because we're going to use the final 10 minutes we have with DMC, Darren McDonald, to talk about two people that we've lost in the last couple of days that were historic figures in professional wrestling. So in this episode of this particular segment of Wrestling Historian, we're going to talk about our memories or your memories of two wrestling figures that we've lost in the last couple of days. Yesterday with the death of Ole Anderson, and today with the news of the death of Mike Soul Train Jones, otherwise known as Virgil. And if yesterday I found out the news actually when we were and I was watching Monday Night Raw, and if there was ever any clear indication that Vince is no longer in charge and that Hunter is in charge, was the fact that Michael Cole and Pat McAfee not only talked about it, but the talked about and gave their condolences for the death of and the family of the death of Ole Anderson, but they showed a placard of Ole Anderson. For those of you who don't know, Ole Anderson was never to be seen on a WWF program ever. That was decreed by Vince way back in '83 when after Black Saturday took place, when Vince sold his shares back to Jim Crockett, when Vince tried to buy all of the other, go to the other territories, buy them up, which we talked about earlier in this show, how it killed the territories. One of the territories he wanted to buy was Georgia Championship Wrestling, that Ole Anderson was head booker of and control, and he met with Vince and his wife, and Vince told him his intentions, and Ole is no problem telling the story over and over again. It was an urban legend, but he's come right out and said it. I told him to go fuck himself. And then Vince said, well, this is my wife, Linda. I want you to think, you fuck her too. And, after that, it was Ole
awesome.
was never to appear on or even mentioned on WWF programming again during Ric Flair's retirement ceremony. You remember the return of the Four Horsemen, but it was JJ, it was Arn, it was Tully, and it was Barry Windham, and no mention of Ole at all. But there was a mention of Ole Anderson for the first time ever on WWE TV on Monday because of his death. And if there was ever any indication that Hunter was in charge, it was that. And of course, Mike Jones, Virgil, Vincent, Soul Train Jones, long career people. I guess people best know him in the WWF, even though if you've seen him in the last 10 years of his life, you see him wearing an NWO shirt. Unfortunately, that picture of him sitting in a New York subway station wearing an NWO shirt in front of a table for his autograph. Yeah, I wish that wasn't a legacy or how people will remember him. I think I told you, Dan, I met him. He and Raven Scott were at Wizard World at God, this must have been early 2000s. That's when I bought Scott Levy's Raven's comic book that he wrote about Spider-Man, and I don't know what to call him, Mike Jones had no idea. He goes, "You wrote this?" And Scott goes, "Yeah, motherfucker. It's my comic book." But nice guy. Both of them were, but and I'm looking at the tributes coming in on Mike Jones, and the fan interactions and people posting their pictures of him, all saying the same thing. Yeah, just a really nice guy. A shame that he was very sick toward the end of his life, and he had suffered from a series of seizures. But can't say the same about Ole. Being a nice guy.
Well,
someone even mentioned the poetic justice that of Ole dying during Black History Month. But I've got more stories than anything. But I hear
wrestling karma always gets you.
Yeah, I want to hear from you guys if any your memories or of either Ole Anderson or Mike Jones.
Let me get my two out of the way. I mean, first of all, I remember going back last year and watching Virgil's ascension in the WWF, and going, why did they do a better job covering this up? And
Yeah.
I'm talking about that dude was over.
Mm-hmm.
All he had to do was stab the man in the back, and I'm talking about Cracker, the white man. All he had to do was tell $1 Million Man to go fuck himself. And that's all he needed. He was so over. You're remembering it wrong. The dude was over.
No, yeah.
Even to the point where I'm watching this going, why couldn't they give him the Bobby Heenan treatment or somebody else that was sitting around doing nothing? Because that dude could have thrown a punch, a drop kick, and a suplex, tagged out, and we're done. That's how over this guy was. They could have at least milked that for the rest of the year, and they shuffled it away. It just never understood retrospectively, going back and watching it, why he wasn't given as many chances as anyone else. Oh, I remember why. You know why.
Yeah, you know.
It's the same reason why Ole Anderson died Black History Month. But I have a personal memory of him, and this is not a shit talk. This is hilarious to me. I have he big timed me because he's Virgil. He's allowed. But it was at WrestleFest 2014. And everybody else was, well, I didn't go near Raven because he looked as happy as he would be. I didn't go near the Sandman because he also looked as happy as you think. King Kong Bundy was amazing. New Jack, stay the hell away from him because he looked hot. Because he always looked hot. But King Kong Bundy was amazing. And I'm walking the show. I helped. I'm a vendor there. I'm not a fan. I'm working this show. And I go to all the tables, say hi.
Mm-hmm.
And I hit Virgil. Hey, sir, it's nice to meet you. Do you want to buy something? No, I just want to say hi. I'm at the table over there. Well, you can still buy something. I'll come back. I'll come back later. He had his $1 Million belt with him that he earned. And I just let him do his thing and let him sell stuff and make money. Was not standing that man's way. The dude's arm was still bigger than my big ass head. So we weren't going there. It's different because Tony Atlas big timed us and was very dickish about it. Didn't even look us in the face. Being big time by Virgil was like, cool.
Yeah, right.
Good. Nice. I told everybody, like, you guys, this is hilarious. You're gonna buy something? No,
not at all.
No, I kind of wish I did now because I didn't see him the rest of the day because he had a big line. Everybody always makes that joke about that picture that Craig mentioned earlier of him sitting at the table and nobody being there. He had a line. Yeah. People were there to see him. I loved him as Vince in the NWO, and I have never seen a man take as many punches from Sting as he had to do in that second. The same punch. Oh my God. And he would bump for 20 feet for Sting.
Yeah.
He would take a punch and he'd end up in the first row almost. But you cannot deny that original run.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish they would have just tried a little more to salvage that. Wasn't his fault, just like the Maxime thing on a smaller scale. Wasn't her fault. I just don't understand it. And Ole, Craig knows this. Ole was involved in that first ever wrestling show I ever saw in person. Halloween Havoc '89 at the Civic Center. He was Stig and Flair's cornerman, and he was the one that punched Gary Hart to get the little one.
Yeah,
we got everybody. Mine's downstairs. I can't grab him right now. He was the one that punched Gary when Gary Hart tried to interfere. He punched him, which made Gary Hart throw in the towel. That lost the match for Muda and Funk. Yeah. And of course, Ole Anderson's a legend and kind of a piece of shit. So, like you said, Craig, karma.
Yeah.
Mr. Mac.
My two quick things. I'm obviously Ole's heyday was before I was born. So all the stuff I saw with him was when I would go back. I would go back on the network and I would watch the old stuff. So when I think of him, I think about when Sting had won the title match when he was in the Horsemen, and they're trying to convince him to like not take the match, and Ole's like, "Don't take the match," and Ole just he just flaps the rein off his
When you signed that match, you signed your death warrant.
Oh,
That's
and he
my
slaps
best
him,
Ole. He just smacks him.
and they rip his shirt off, and so that's
Ooh, I
my
got chills
highlight.
all over again, Derek. Good shit.
And as far as Virgil, he was the first black wrestler I saw on TV who the fans like he was the first guy, and I was like, wow, look, he's winning. And then it went from him to then I eventually saw Ron Simmons and Butch Reed as Doom, and then I saw Too Cold Scorpio, and then it was Ice Train and those guys. But Virgil was like the first guy, when he's calling him Virgil, and he goes, my name is Mike Jones, and the crowd erupts, and he's hitting them with the belt and all this, and that was the first time I saw a black guy on TV, and I was like, wow. Like, look at that. There's some of us who, it's not just SD Jones. No offense, SD. But like Virgil's the first guy who and like you said, he was so over that when Yoko came in, and what was that, 92, 93, they used him to help get Yoko over when he first got on TV. So people cared about him for a long time. They just never did anything with him.
Yeah,
We say that, Craig. Sorry, we say that, but they brought him into WCW for the NWO because of who he was.
Yep.
That's it. There's the endorsement.
yeah, and his run in WWF, and you have to remember how iconic that was because DiBiase comes in $1 Million Man gimmick, and he's got this bodyguard Virgil who's like like you said, arms bigger than your head, and then we saw the cracks in the armor and how Ted was treating him and how he was getting to him, and then with a little nudge by Roddy Piper, and he finally turns on Ted, and you see the fans standing and cheering when he finally does it, and that template, and that was back in 1988, has been used over and over again to the point now it's like, okay, well, we see this guy abusing him, when's it gonna Wardlow and MJF? They were doing it with Statlander and Britt Baker before that got shelved, but you see the abuse of the underling, and how far is he gonna take that before he snaps. And when he won the $1 Million belt at SummerSlam 91, again, fans were standing, cheering.
So over. Does not do it justice, those words.
I can only, the only thing is, Dan, why he wasn't, because the work in the ring was fine, and we talked about people didn't make anyone great. His best match here was against Bret Hart. And they were both
there you go.
Yeah.
And that was a hell of a match. He also had a damn good match against Sean Waldman when he was 1, 2, 3 Kid.
So what happened?
His lack of promo. He couldn't do a promo.
Well, then you give him a manager. How come they gave other people and not him?
They didn't see, and I'm agreeing with you, Dan.
No, you don't have to. I get you.
But you also have to look at the landscape. There was a log jam up front. Between Hogan, Warrior, Savage, Piper was still around.
Neither of those guys could do a promo either. Piper. Arguably. Well, no, not Piper. I'm talking about Hogan and fucking Warrior.
Okay, yeah, but Hogan, Savage, Warrior, Jake, Piper. I mean, there was a log jam there. So I was talking to somebody about Iron Claw. They saw how come Kerry Von Erich was in the same boat. Yeah, he was going to be an Intercontinental Champion. Could Virgil have got an Intercontinental Championship run? Possibly, but again, it was a huge log jam in front of him. Kerry was never going to be the WWE Champion. Not as long as Hogan and Savage were there. Or as over as he was. And I would say the same about Vince. I wouldn't say he got a raw deal. He got as far as he could go. But after turning on Ted DiBiase, and that was his main foe, and after he beat DiBiase, where do you take him now? Because that was like his whole character was linked to DiBiase. So if there's no more DiBiase, where was he to go? DiBiase was going
Yeah.
to be okay. Ted was
Yeah.
he could work with anybody, and he was already a main event heel. You couldn't say that about as a main event babyface with Virgil. His top matches, he wrestled Hulk Hogan in Madison Square Garden. Not everybody can say that, but he did when he was a heel. You got
And no, I was gonna say his problem was, like you said, it was a log jam at the top, and by the time they had switched to like that whole new generation thing where it was about like Brett and Sean, he had the stench of the failed run from the late '80s, early '90s on him. It was too late because he would have fit in perfect with the Bretts, the Seans, the Owens, the 1, 2, 3 kids, the Ramones. But by that point, it was like, oh, he's just the Virgil guy now. It was too late at that point.
yeah. I agree.
Well, hey, rest in peace, Mike Jones.
Yes.
I liked him.
he was
yeah.
great. He was a
He
nice,
was great. I
also
did
enjoyed
like
him
towards
as-
the end. Sorry,
I
go ahead.
enjoyed him as, and I was gonna say, I also enjoyed him as Curly in the
That was
West Texas
exactly
Rednecks.
what I was about to bring up.
I
That's
enjoyed
exactly
that.
what Derek. Great minds think alike, motherfucker.
Yes,
I was gonna say I liked him as Curly. Was it Curly Bill or just
It was
Curly?
Curly Bill.
It was
Curly
Curly.
Bill.
I think it was Curly Bill. And then when that's dead, he was just like, I'll never forget this big promo with Mean Gene Okerlund on a Thunder. He goes, I'm gonna go by my real name, Shane.
Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. That was awesome. Oh man. That sucks. Oli, whatever.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Oli was a tremendous talent. He was just,
He was tremendous talent. He was kind of like did what Ernie Ladd followed his lead. He was the lead booker and the main event heel. So Ole in the 70s in the Carolinas was making the equivalent of about $2 million in today's money with what he was doing in the Carolinas. The Anderson brothers were the #1 heel team in the United States. And there were so many versions of the NWA Tag Team title, but the Andersons were so over and so hated and drew so much money that they made their version the World Tag Team Championship. And Ole just started so many great careers and was a great booker. And I'll leave you with this, one of my favorite quotes when he got kicked out of the Horsemen, or he left the Horsemen to concentrate on booking, and he came back as a face against the Horsemen. And this is during the Great American Bash run. They were doing their stadium shows. They were getting 20, 30,000 fans, and he was in the back in the locker room grumbling because the main event was the Road Warriors and Baby Doll against the Midnight Express and Jim Cornette. And I forget what the house was, but each of them got like 125,000 a piece for that. And Ole was pissed off, and he said, "Man, all the money I made, I never made that much money in one night, and they give all this money. I can't believe they're giving all this money to a fat manager and a cunt." And Jim Cornette said, "Well, on behalf of all the fat managers and the cunts, thank you for paving the way for us, Ole."
Greg, where can people follow you?
They can follow me if they want when I get my voice back on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And when it's time to change, at Craig Lagans, CraigLigeons. Damn.
You can follow Derek McDonald, the brick wall over there. Same thing. I follow Craig from the bushes, says Badash. Yeah, that's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like bushes? Follow me, all social media platforms, Threads, Blue Sky, Hive, Instagram, X. Derek just looked at me like, "Fuck is Hive?"
No, he bit me. He wants to play now.
Oh, he wants to play. Well, play. Hey, everybody, we got cute puppies on the stream. I don't know if you can see it, Derek, but that's my hand for puppy season.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a 4-month-old dachshund that just wants to play. It's razor blades in there. But
Yeah.
follow Albert biting my hand at DanLaw83 on all the social media platforms. For the great
All right, Chewy.
Chewbacca, and the great Derek, and the great Craig Lagans. I am Derek Chico. We'll see you in the next episode. Keep it on the paper, for God's sakes, wrestling people.